This is Plant-Based Briefing, Vegan Bacon, Why It's Better for You and How to Make Your Own, Part 2, by Ocean Robbins at foodrevolution.org. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson, and this is the curated content plant-based podcast where I narrate articles with author permission in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. And today's article is longer than most, so I've read the first half yesterday, and today I'm reading the second half. So please check out yesterday's episode if you haven't already. Now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Vegan Bacon, Why It's Better for You and How to Make Your Own, Part 2, by Ocean Robbins at foodrevolution.org. Putting together the basics of vegan bacon. You'll find some of our favorite vegan bacon recipes later in this article. But before we get out the shopping lists and the measuring spoons, let's talk about the principles and steps that will set you up for success. Number 1, determine what texture you desire. For crispy, select thinly sliced carrot, coconut flakes, eggplant, banana peel, yes, seriously, more on that below, or strips of rice paper. For chewy, select thinly sliced tofu, tempeh, or seitan. If you have a mandolin on hand, you can use it to thinly slice carrots and eggplant, which helps create a crispy texture. Number 2, make your marinade. To make a bacon-flavored marinade, you'll definitely want to include either smoked paprika or liquid smoke for that smoky flavor, unless you plan to grill it using wood smoke. We love a blend of reduced sodium organic tamari with a touch of maple syrup and liquid smoke, plus some seasoning like onion powder, garlic powder, and smoked paprika. See the recipes below for several marinade options. Number 3, soak your plant bacon of choice in its marinade for at least 20 minutes. If you plan ahead, marinating any of the plant-based options above overnight helps to concentrate the flavors. And number 4, bake, grill, or air fry. The cooking time can vary depending on the selected item and mode of cooking. For example, carrot bacon takes only 5 minutes to cook in the air fryer, but 20 minutes in the oven, while mushrooms can take up to 30 minutes in the oven. Foods you can make vegan bacon with. This is a rapidly growing list, thanks to energetic experimenters, vegan bloggers, and cookbook authors. Coconut. When we think of high-fat vegan ingredients, coconuts come to mind, and they make an excellent bacon substrate. While there's a huge debate about whether coconut is good or bad for you, that debate centers largely around coconut oil, which is not a whole food. Fresh or dried coconut flesh is a whole different thing, and many healthy cultures include these foods as dietary staples. And remember, we're talking about vegan bacon here. No matter how you make it, this should not become one of your new food groups. With the salt, sweetness, and fat required to make your bacon taste good, these will always be treat foods rather than central parts of your diet. Tempeh. These blocks are made from fermented whole soybeans and are one of the healthiest ways to enjoy this very healthy legume. You can turn tempeh into bacon by slicing it thin and marinating it in a sweet and salty marinade. See our recipe below for easy and delicious tempeh bacon. Carrots. They don't have much fat, but they do have a lovely sweetness and a surprisingly accommodating texture. You can get long strips of the right dimensions with a vegetable peeler and a little practice, and carrots are right up there with the world's healthiest veggies. In our recipe below, the fat comes from the tahini in the marinade. Rice paper. Popular in Vietnamese cooking, these round discs are dampened to make them flexible and often form the exterior of veggie rolls. The trick to making them into bacon is to cut them into strips while still dry and brittle, then wetting the strips so they stick together. Add marinade, air fry, and voila! Rice paper may not be the best option from a health perspective, as they are a processed food made from rice flour. Also, rice from many parts of the world tends to be high in arsenic, so you likely don't want to overdo this bacon ingredient. Seitan. This plant-based meat alternative is made from wheat gluten, the protein that, like its name suggests, glues wheat flour together when mixed with liquid. Once mixed and cooked, seitan has a texture very much like cooked chicken or pork and can be sliced thinly to approximate bacon. It can also absorb flavors very well, so a good marinade goes a long way here. If you're allergic or sensitive to gluten, it makes sense to avoid seitan, but for many of us, the gluten found in whole grains may actually provide a net nutritional benefit. So despite what you may have heard, most people have little reason to fear foods containing gluten. Tofu. Like its cousin tempeh, tofu comes from soybeans. In this case, they're processed and no longer a whole food. Still, compared with the meat that it replaces, tofu is very healthy. The best tofu for bacon will have a low water content, which generally means you want firm or extra firm tofu. You can squeeze water out by wrapping the tofu block in a towel and placing a weight on top of it. Pro tip: to create a remarkably spongy base that's ready to absorb delicious flavors, drain, freeze, and then thaw firm tofu in the refrigerator before squeezing out excess water and preparing it for your dish. Mushrooms. Technically not plants, mushrooms can nevertheless be incredibly good for you, and mushrooms have an advantage in the bacon department because of their natural chewiness and umami flavor profile. Check out the mushroom bacon topper recipe below. Banana peel. Yes, you read that right. It turns out that banana peels themselves are highly nutritious. They're rich in nutrients like potassium, fiber, essential amino acids, polyunsaturated fats, and antioxidants, and they can make a mean vegan bacon with the added benefit of having a bunch of bananas to eat as well. Just make sure to get organic bananas if you're planning on eating the peels, because otherwise you could be facing a nasty dose of pesticides. Eggplant. Another chewy veggie, eggplant can slice thin and accepts the flavor of whatever marinade it meets. You can bake or air fry eggplant into flexible and crunchy bacon-like strips. How to use vegan bacon. Now that you're familiar with the ways to make vegan bacon, let's talk about how to enjoy it. Here are a few suggestions. They aren't meant to be exhaustive, but are intended to stir your own creativity. After all, if people out there are putting pork bacon into cupcakes, you should be able to think of some out there uses of your own for your vegan bacon. Bacon bits, as a topping on salads or over chili or baked potatoes or sweet potatoes. With breakfast, in a chickpea omelet. In sandwiches and wraps. Mixed into a veggie side dish, for example roasted Brussels sprouts or green beans, as a plant-based pizza topping, in a pasta dish, in stuffed vegetables like peppers or cabbage, and in savory pies or hand pies. And now, the recipes. If missing the smoky flavor and crunchy texture of traditional bacon is what's holding you back from going plant-based, then stop what you're doing and start creating. Smoky crisp carrot bacon provides tons of crunch and is delicious by itself as a snack, alongside a tofu scramble, or in a sandwich such as a BLT. While tempeh bacon isn't as crunchy, it's definitely just as tasty, plus it provides plenty of plant-based protein, prebiotic fiber, and lots of phytonutrients that traditional bacon doesn't provide. The mushroom bacon topper is just one example of the versatility that edible fungi offer. Add it to salads, on avocado toast, or on top of pasta. Finally, shiitake bacon mixed with kale, edamame, and pepitas might be one of our favorite combinations of all time. Enjoy it knowing you're giving so much goodness to both your body and the planet. Check out the link to the original post in the show notes for all these recipes. Bring home the plant-based bacon. Bacon is hugely popular, but it comes with a heaping side of animal cruelty, harmful environmental effects, and health concerns. Luckily, you can still enjoy similar versatility and deliciousness with vegan and plant-based versions. There are many plant-based foods you can turn into bacon alternatives, so have fun and enjoy the recipes. You just listened to Vegan Bacon, Why It's Better for You and How to Make Your Own, Part 2, by Ocean Robbins at foodrevolution.org. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. And there's a lot of great information in this article, but obviously the recipes don't translate to audio, so the original post is linked in the show notes and you can find the actual recipes there. Thanks for listening.